So welcome, Assalamu alaikum, to probably the 7th Brooklyn Circle of 2009 series. My name is Fuad Ali and I'm just being the chair for the first time. I'd like to, about Brooklyn Circle. Every year, this is the third year full of seminars on issues to do with Bangladeshis and the London Loop. We also have a class young people's project where we're getting 18 to 25-year-olds to write about the links between the East India Company and the UK. Our speaker today is Muhammad Hafizul Hasan, who's an architect by profession and getting his degree at Greenwich in construction. It's going to present the evolution of architecture in Bangladesh, to appeal to aesthetics and other kinds of things. So eager to listen to you. So that you've got 40 minutes to talk.
No panel discussion yet.
No panel of the experts. I might squeeze your brain a bit. Okay?
Thank you. I need to just check whether it works or not.
So better if you press return.
I'll do it from there. Okay. Actually, Saki, you can answer.
So we have a second presenter as well. Saki, fine.
You can have a seat. Actually, today the presentation will be splitting into 4 parts. Actually, the time according to the time we'll be presenting, splitting into 4 parts. In the first part, we'll be presenting the foreign architects working for Bangladesh and the kind of bookish and theoretical architecture that have been practiced over the last few decades. Then we'll be coming to the modern architecture that we see, and then we will be going through some dilemmas, and then we will be presenting some new ideas in architecture in Bangladesh. So the word architecture, actually we tell this regarding not only aesthetics, also with functionality and aesthetics, and definitely depends on program, and which is usually given by the client. And this architecture not necessarily always is bound within the forms and the buildings.
Sitting there, so you would like to come the camera. The other side. Good.
Yeah. Oops. This way?
No, you can sit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
This face.
Okay.
that's the place. Much better.
So actually, regarding architecture, usually the common trend is we refer architecture just what we see, the formal expression. But being architects, we don't necessarily see architecture just as a building. We refer buildings and the functionality and deep inside the material, the regionality, the components that is part of the architecture. And long before this modern trend, the Byzantine civilization, they had this philosophy that this is not only construction, also the aesthetics. So actually, when we start our presentation, we will be starting from Baharpur Buddha Vihar. We will be starting from Baharpur Buddha Vihar. We refer this architecture. It's a complex. It's a religious complex. We refer this architecture to be the oldest form of construction and architecture in our region. It is almost 2,000 years old, and it was definitely a rectangular kind of a plan. And I know everybody, you already know this Bihar projects. Next, then we are just going a bit fast, and then we can refer to our Sonargaon, our first capital for Bangladesh. Next, and then from Sonargaon we came to Dhaka by the river Buriganga, and this is the Asan Mandir. It was the Nawab's building, but usually used by the British people during the colonization. They used this as their pastime. Next. And actually, the way I say it, we will be presenting our presentation in 4 splits, though, and starting from history till our Liberation War. Then, just after Liberation War, what we had. Then, for this presentation today, we are referring this phase, 80s and 90s architecture, to be modern architecture. Then we had some transition, a dilemma, just before 2000. We refer this to be experimental, and I will go accordingly. And then what we call the postmodern and new philosophies and new thoughts regarding this architecture, so-called architecture in Bangladesh. Next. Actually, architecture studies and the formal kind of education in Bangladesh was started. We call it starting by architect Madhul Islam. We call him Sir, architect Madhul Islam, and he first invited a lot of. He was actually a consultant for East Pakistan government, and during his time he invited a lot of foreign architects to do projects in Bangladesh. And one of the tremendous, fantastic project was Art College, and in this project himself, he was the chief during that time for the. Now we call this institution PWD. He was the chief at that time, before the liberation, and he did this art college, and it is very kind of for architecture students that this philosophy was followed by the we call 5 master architects, Le Corbusier, and it was based on the free-flowing space for the ground floor, where he lifted the whole form on pilotis, circular columns, leaving the ground floor totally empty, and the functions on the upper floors. And he also used the material, concrete, to be without beams and columns. And probably this is one of the first structure in Bangladesh where we see flat slabs. So you will never see any beam or column, any beam in this structure. And he also used wood for exterior shading devices. Next. And after that, in the same time, our parliament building was under construction, and he also worked for Louis Khan, and he was doing experiment with bricks. And this is the university, Jahangirnagar University, and he did this in a very symmetrical plan. You will be seeing influence of Louis Khan master plan for our national capital in his drawing as well. And you see strong geometries, so no free flowing curves, and use of bricks, extensive bricks. And he also designed during that time, Chittagong University. And while he was the chief, he also invited some foreign architects in Bangladesh. And this is Kolhapur railway station, and it was also very interesting structure. Not as a form, he wanted to give an image to the city. So Robert BUET, we call him Bob BUET, and he introduced this from the umbrella of the chairman of our, so-called Gram Boards, and it was a very successful structure. Everybody knows this image. And then I passed from this university. This is architecture department. He was the first dean for architecture faculty for Ahsanullah Engineering College, and he is Robert Grumman. Next. And also, he is a very famous architect, Paul Rudolph. He designed Mymensingh Agricultural University. Next. And definitely everybody we know, the Parliament building. It was designed by Louis Khan. And this project actually started long before 67. It was started during 1962. And as I referred a few minutes back, that we have some master architects for this modern era of architecture. One of the master architects is Louis Khan. And we have been very lucky. Madhur Islam Sir invited him to do our parliament, but he was the third choice. The first choice was Kovizia. He did the Chandigarh capital during that time in India. He had been doing that project, so he asked him. He was too busy. He refused that. Second, he asked another master architect, Alva Aalto. He was from Finland. He was also busy with other projects. And then he approached Louis Khan. So and this project is referred to be Louis Khan's last piece of architecture, which was built. And this is the most referred and most outstanding project of him. Yeah, next. What I was while I'm describing the projects, one thing you can see regarding, you can carefully, if you know about some use of materials, you can see the changes. The changes, first we started with bricks, now we are shifting towards concrete, and this was the first project. The entire building project was made of fair face concrete. Our country never ever had seen use of fair face concrete. What I'm referring to fair face concrete as this. We don't do plastering, and it is weatherproof, and it sustained more than 100 years. So it requires less maintenance, no painting, and it's very aesthetically, if done properly, it's very soothing. And this project was started in 67, but designed somewhat around 62. It was commissioned in 62. And this entire building was made by Fairface Concrete. And since it was huge, he broke the volumetrical expression by using horizontal lines. And these horizontal lines are made of marble. And these marbles were brought from India, Jaipur. And interestingly, during those times, we never had the explorations of materials used by other countries, the international high-tech materials or local materials, marble, sandstone, never. But on phases we will go through. Next. And interestingly, this project is referred as city to city. The Pakistani aircraft never bombed this project. While they were bombing the whole city, they flew over this project and they thought some other aircrafts already bombed it. So they never bombed this project, and this project was saved. It is very interesting because it has so much punches and so much openness. Next, it is some inside views. Next, we are going to these so-called modern practices in Bangladesh. Next. Inspired by these master architects, still Madhur Islam Sir is alive. He is almost, I think, 92. He doesn't practice at all, but the whole inspiration started from him, from this institution, and all these master architects doing projects in Bangladesh. And our first batches of architecture students who were coming into the practice for newly independent country, they had very strong philosophies. They had warmth for the projects, and I think this is definitely our analogy. I think they were not driven by this so-called economy-oriented practice and not fascinated for driving a Pajero or Lexus. They were more into passionate for architecture. And this man, Hafizul Hasan, I worked for him in a couple of projects. He's dead, but he's one of the most inspiring architects leading 80s and 90s. He won several international awards for these projects, and you can see the vault, and this vault approach is very, if we go through climate and architecture, it is obvious that we have to have this kind of solution for our region, like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. They do have to have this, we call this chotri, and actually this is kind of a shading device which protects the driving rain. And this vaulting is actually has the orientation north-south, so you can have the free airflow through this direction, and you can shade the sun. So it's very interesting kind of project. Next. And during that time, architects, as I referred, I feel they had worked not doing only urban projects. They also did some projects in rural part, and these are very low-cost projects. You don't see any plastering. So architects were, to some extent, exploring with materials, techniques, and definitely with economy or finance. Next. And then we see the projects, high-rise apartment buildings, totally made of brick. And this is a very, very, very fantastic project. Architect Basundhara Group. This is he's one of the first kind of project called Dhanshiri near Farm Gate, Indira Road, and he has done Kalindi. He has done again Dhanshiri 1, 2, 3. It's kind of a series, and you see he has solved this. It's kind of a open plan, definitely very much urban. But it has an inner court. So from the very kind of modern or so-called trendy architecture, he went off and he invented kind of village uthan in this architecture. Though it's a high-rise. Next. And these are regular architecture. Though we got inspiration. Okay, this is more. Yeah, it's in Lalmatia. And these are the practices, and now you can see like fair face concrete is coming in after long, because it is expensive definitely. BUET taught us how to use fair face concrete, but after that long 20 years we never used fair face concrete for hardly 1-2 projects, but not in mass scale. But now for the maintenance and the changing attitude of the clients, architects explored materials in their design, like fair face concrete, reflective glass or curtain glass, and brick as well in the same project. And some projects they also have the Alcobond aluminium panel, and we refer this kind of an experimental phase. I will again show you some couple of other projects. Next. And then again, from that sketchy form of architecture, architects came into very fine, thematic, kind of logical projects. And these are award-winning projects. This is a very urban style project. It is called Scholastica School near Uttara, just next to the airport. And it is a very tight space. And also this architect, for the first time, it's an educational institution. He proposed a planning with an inner court, because people cannot, we cannot afford to give football field in an urban school. But he gave somewhat a very nice landscape within that inner side, and he proposed that not only this ground floor, these steps in the corridor, the circulation area will be a nice community or play area for the students. It's also an award-winning project, and it is a kind of inspiration for young architects in Dhaka. Next. Then what we did for, we architects got confused for some time. This time, because of the like so-called media, because of the web, because of availability of material. If you ask any material, it is ready. So clients were gone crazy in Bangladesh for some time. Next. I don't think it is we criticize much that this is wrong, this is right. Everything is required to see which one is sustainable. But you can see that architects for the first time they are up to for this is a building, and they went for a prefabricated steel structure with glass, and this project was a huge controversy in the city because of its cooling load, unbelievable cost, and this client actually sued the architect for giving the solution. And you see not insulation on the corrugated roof, so he sued the architect, and this architect is now top leading practicing architect in Bangladesh. So we got so much inspiration with from other projects, architects happening around the world. We got crazy, and we did a lot of crazy things. Next, like that guy again, he came up with an interesting project. His name is this company's name is Tania Karim Nur Rahman Khan. I worked 2 years for this company. And actually, I was involved as a associate architect for this project. But again, I felt that my boss was a bit crazy at that time because of this planning. It was in Banani, and that man, the client came and he said, "I have money, do whatever you do, and I want to show my project." So the program was a show-off. So it was not regarding anything functionality, anything regarding so-called the philosophy we have been seeing from 70s and 90s. The client comes and say, "I have money and do this, and it has to be the best one in city." It got priced, but we don't like this project. He imported sandstone from Jaipur. He imported this door from Jaipur, and out of nowhere, out of any context, he put everything here, and he proposed a court inside the room, and that client's wife, he wanted natural ventilation. So these again, she wants air conditioning. So it was so crazy complex a program to solve. We had to provide a courtyard. Then again, we had to cover it with curtain glass. Then she was complaining, "Where is my natural ventilation?" So we took off the glass and we put this kind of air cutter, mechanical air ventilation system, so that when she feels that she will be having natural ventilation, she turns it off and she says, "Wow, it's natural ventilation." And when she requires AC, she turns it on and the whole room is air conditioned. So we have been exploring so many crazy ideas during that time. Next. Then again, client goes to Hong Kong, Dubai, Bangkok, and brings pictures virtually to architects. I have seen this in that shopping mall, a glass stair. I want this in my project, in my residence. So architects again gone crazy. And in the same house, you see glass stair and 50% is concrete stair. So, and every time now they come up with the power of money, and they refer to, "I have money, do whatever you do," and they don't ask for any rationality. So architects during this time have been a bit free to explore with materials, and I don't see criticizing architects, because by doing this we achieve a lot of things: what is right, what is wrong, and what we can do, what we cannot do. And actually we used a lot of what we call international materials. Those are not us. Those are not manufactured in our country, and we cannot refer. These are our material. This stainless steel, this tempered glass, and this high tensile steel cables. Next. Then again, use of marble, use of mirror polish tiles, use of
high-class lighting system, and using use of, as clients, they roam all around. They will be going to Dubai, they will be going to Malaysia, and they will be roaming around. And also the movies, the Hindi movies they see, they will come to the client with kind of a DVD, and they will ask, see this movie, and all of a sudden, he will pause this movie, and they will ask the architect, I want this tile in my bedroom. I want this kind of curtain in my living room. So architects, by the end of 2000, if you call, within 3 days, you can have virtually any tiles, any marble, any stone, any finished material in Dhaka. So it is kind of retail, and everybody knows everything. So the concept of designing got drastically changed. No kind of philosophy, no warmth for the country. Everybody is after money, and we are making money. Every leading architect is having V6, Lexus, every damn good car. Then deep inside, we feel we are being, profit motivated contractors. Being a teacher, I always taught in the class, I'm teaching you architecture, but at the end you will become a contractor. So think what you will be if you want to be an architect or if you want to be a contractor. Actually, these projects I did, that's why I'm showing next. Again, not necessarily in residential projects, also in commercial projects. They go to Al Buj, they go to Petronas, and they come with pictures. I want my reception to be like this. I want this corporate look. And actually, they are competing with so-called corporate offices in Bangladesh, like HSBC, head office, British Airways, Emirates. They go there and they say, I want my lobby to be like Emirates because I do business with Dubai. All my clients, they come from Dubai, so make it like that. So in architecture, not necessarily in architecture, in interior practice, you see a lot of similarities. All these projects will be looking like the same. We call this magazine architecture. Anything you can publish, very flashy. These are magazine architecture. You cannot tell this project is from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Hardly. Next. And then again, with the material available from all around the city, one thing we got from technology, we call this software to be 3D Max. Every architect, they were so much happy with this software. They had been using 3D Max, and previously we had been doing with pencil. Now the pencil and drawing board is gone, and we do have computer, laptop, and software. So the architecture studios in the private universities, they cut the whole class into half because we don't require this much of drawing board. So all you need is laptop and some skill on software we call 3D Max. And this is kind of an example. This one is a 3D Max, and this one is the real project. So while you sell some project to architects, to clients, architects came with some mind-blowing idea, and they do exactly how it will be looking like when you build it. And these softwares actually also can estimate how much material is required, how much is the cost. So before you do anything, before you even start your foundation, everything is ready. This is this cost, and it's just a mouse click away. When he asked, what if it is not blue, it is red? Then what if this is not stainless steel, it is made of mild steel? So you can explore all these possibilities. Next. And also the effect. And he says, I want to use these mirror polish tiles, what it will look like during evening, if I put matte tiles, what will be the effect? So architects have been doing all these 3D Max drawings, the tactile feelings, the roughness, the polished effect. Everything is can be explored before execution. Next, and definitely you know while marketing, they know the mock-up before execution. And nowadays it's a trend. Everybody knows everything. They want to fill the space. The client, they come up and they tell, I want a 3D walkthrough. So they're quite well known now regarding this software, and they want to see how these spaces look like and how the building look like. So it is the technology drastically had the impact on design. Next. We have almost come to the last part of our presentation, and I refer this part to the postmodern because beyond this flashy thing, beyond this Lexus and Pajero reference, there are some bit kind of asking regarding our responsibilities. Like we teach theories in the class regarding our poor people, regarding the rural areas, regarding our locality, and regarding the 80% population being poor and living in the rural areas. And always we teach in the class, do this, this is right, this is wrong. So what our students do? Next. Our students, sorry. Oh, just go back. Okay, sorry, I'm a bit misled. Yeah, next slide, please. What our students do? The architects, by this time, doing all these explorations, they got, when they buy Pajero V6 one time, next time doing projects, they say no to clients. When the client comes and say, see this movie, I want this part. Now, architects, they say, I will not do your project, you go away. You go to some other architect and ask him to do this project for you. I will not be doing projects for you. And if you come to me, if you want to use me, it has to be like me. Give me your program, and he has a voice. Like, I see this phase just couple of years, 3-4 years, it had been. Architects, they became bold and doing all this exploration with materials, techniques. They go on mature. It's definitely according to me, according to us. And this architect, Mr. Rafiq Azam, he is a famous architect now in Bangladesh. He is loaded with lots of projects. He, for the very first time, introduced green in tiny urban space. And he did a project in Lalbagh. It was a less than 1,000 square feet per floor building. This building he split it into 500 square feet, apartment projects. Within that, he introduced garden, and he introduced open plan, and they were very happy, the clients, and these were very interesting projects. And we asked these architects to teach in the class, and when they introduced their project, they say, these were my other projects, and now we are doing this project. This project, it is again a award-winning project. This living room, it doesn't have, any so-called curtain glass. It is open to nature, and it is on the 7th floor. You can see the same picture, and I don't know what is the English word for sofeda. This tree is sofeda tree, and some real-time bulbuli, the magpie probably. It is very, very fond of sofeda. And this client, he claims he have seen a couple of bulbulis there. So now architects, they have been very sensitive with the emotion. Who has budget? You have been not doing everything crazy. So they are turning more sensitive. Next. Some architects say, some clients say, I want my pukur ghat over there. He has money. And again, this architect designed a pukur, real-time pond, on the top floor of a 6-story building, and virtually this is the Pukurghan. And this project got almost 17 international awards for this so-called, and the cooling load, he reduced cooling load, he reduced air conditioning, and this whole thing is made of fair face concrete, and budget is no bar. Everything you do, and the client tremendously happy. And he, in some interviews, he says, I feel my childhood while I sit in the 7th floor. Some are there.
Did they fish in the fish?
No fish. These are very tough to maintain. Next. And what if a pond on the top? Why not a swimming pool on the top? So he again gone crazy. And he designed one, this is probably in Chittagong. And he designed one apartment complex. And he designed the swimming pool on the 11th floor of the project. And all his projects, he's introducing rooftop garden, a solid green grass to avoid. Definitely these are costly, but still I appreciate for the changes of the attitude. Next. So my question was, what we teach for the students of architecture in our university? Will they be doing the flashy architecture? Will they be doing only these rooftop gardens and putting some, cascade of green thing on the facade and calling it a sustainable architecture and calling it, referring it the responsibility for the community? And actually, one thing is missing in this presentation is regarding the usage of local material. Concrete is not local. Brick definitely, we refer it to be local, but we don't see any use of mud architecture. We don't see any use of bamboo. We don't see any use of timber. So what we teach our students, we teach our students to buy a Lexus LS400 by 4th year or 5th year. To some extent, yes. And to some extent, no. Next. Our students in the 3rd year, 4th year, we make them to go to the rural areas, and they have two kind of professional practice. They have to go to a leading architectural company in the town, and then again, for the real-time field work, they have to go to village to do real-time work, to know how to how the brick masonry works. And it's a project, it's a very insignificant project. The whole total project cost was less than 80,000 Dhaka, Bangladesh Dhaka. I think, what is 80,000 Dhaka in pounds? 800 pounds. It's a 2-story building. And my students have been so innovative in doing details. Next, look at this detail. They come up with wooden and terracotta thing to make a ventilation system. And look at this effect for the same old bamboo used by the local people. They improvise. Go back to the other side, obviously. The same old bamboo, and they put it there to keep the laugas over there. So it is very, and the whole community, they came up with a very, not a fair A4 paper. It was, kind of, somebody came up with a, I don't have the cigarette packet with me. The wrap inside the cigarette packet, they bring it and put a pen, give me a pen, and they will tell, design something for me. I cannot pay you, but design something good for me, like this building. And we could not afford to keep our students back there in Dinajpur for more than 3 weeks. We withdrew the whole fleet, and they came back and they say, they gone crazy. The village people, everybody is asking for doing something similar like this, and we can't do, because they are up to for buying a Pajero. Next. And this is the last project I will show. And I refer this project to be inspiration, at least for me. And I think it's an inspiration also for my students, whom we teach architecture, so-called architecture. Though they will be all becoming, architects for modern world. But this project, it is in Rajshahi, Rudrapur, all my students, they went there, and one German lady, his name is Anna, he went there for this project. The budget was very low, and the material they used was only local materials available with local technology. 7 of my students, they went there for a free labor, only for the food, for say 2 months time, for 2 months time. Next, this is the project I'm referring to. It's a school, and it is made of, the lower part is made of mud, and we had some research, and we put very small amount of cement within it, and we used straw and ghani bags to make it a bit reinforced. Actually, the architect is Anna from Germany. Next. Actually, this is the detail. We used bamboo for the upper part, corrugated sheet for the roof, and the lower part, it is mud along with cement, and this plinth part is made of totally cement because it requires with kind of sustainability, so it is not melted away with heavy rain, and they don't have money to maintain it, so the detail came like this. And look at these details, it is unbelievable. And the concept, definitely, this projection was for the students who will be, during rain, they will be standing here. So every norms for climate responsive architecture had been followed here. And also this aperture, next. And they made the ground floor, look at this ground floor, they muddy kind of alcoves for the students to go in, and they lean on the, they don't have any furniture. They lean on the carved floor and they read books like this. So every students, they have their own corner, and they have their own group corner, and they refer to other students, come to that corner, they meet there, that is their hideout place. It is very fantastic project. I refer my students, be someone who can actually design like this. Though I never had this chance to be a part of this, but he had, and he's my student from BRAC University. And today the presentation next ends here. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Saket, if you could grab a seat and sit there.
And regarding the last projects, you can ask me.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
When you go to Bangladesh,
Yeah.
the city doesn't look beautiful,
Yeah.
right? Now you are seeing one or two reasonably,
Better.
nice buildings coming
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
right? That's one thing. The other thing is, there doesn't seem to be anything authentically, Bangladeshi or Bengali in the architecture. Right? If you go to some other countries, they seem to have, produced very beautiful modern building, but there's also lots of traditional, and there's sort of development of some traditional, incorporating modern. I don't know if I'm using words properly because I don't understand these architectural words. Right? Why is Bangladesh like that? Is it because historically, we haven't had? So what you're saying now is really interesting because we've gone through a crazy phase, and through this phase, a lot of people got a lot of experience and knowledge, and now the real creative phase is probably starting, and that will lead to the country face will be changing in the next.
One problem, and definitely the answer I'm giving it is my own, so don't take it seriously. That it's my analogy. The problem is not for the architects. The problem was from the planners. The city was not planned before, and actually it failed. And again, we've had problem with bureaucracy. We had planning things, nice planning issues for Dhaka, but never been implemented. I'm referring to Wari. Have you heard of Wari?
Wari, near Puran Dhaka Wari, Dhanmondi,
Narendra.
near Nalinda. Wari in 1952 is the first planned urban housing estate in Bangladesh. It is fantastic, superbly fantastic. It worked well. Then again, in from 1965 to 85, we had Dhanmondi, we had Banani, we had Gulshan, residential estates. The problem is with legislation. Previously, the Dhanmondi residential area, the allotment during that time was 1 bigha, like 20 kathas for each plot, each applicant. And during those time, in 1965, PWD had the newspaper who please apply for these plots. If anybody take these plots, he will be given subsidy, this much of money, if he erects a house there. It was the previous condition. Then huge urbanization came in, whole thing failed, and the master planning for the previous Dhaka, the widening, the width of the road, the infrastructure, the gas, electricity, sewer system, everything was not, foresighted solved. So the problem is, again, the legislation, how it affected. In 1985, government came up with a regulation that for Dhanmondi residential area, you can subdivide the plot. So the guy who had 4 sons in Dhanmondi, having 1 bigha plot, the 4 sons inherited that plot and split it into 4. So every plot in 5 kathas, 4 sons, and they splitted 4 plots, one same area, in 1 year time, in 1985. In 1 year time, the density got 4 times. Simply, there had been 1 car, now 4 cars, not necessarily 4 cars. These crazy sons, they gave this property to developers. Developers built 6-story buildings, every flat, every floor, 2 flats. So what we get, 4 6-story buildings, in every floor 2 apartments. So in common, in every floor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 household in 1 floor, multiply by 5 because the ground floor is parking by legislation. So 5 into 8, it is 40. What we get in one legislation, in all one law, in 1 year time, we not even double. We multiplied the whole thing 40 times. The gas line in 1984 was, the main supply was 6 inch, and in 1986 it is 6 inch, and the household gone 40 times. The road width was 26 feet in 1984. In 1986 it was, because you cannot break the expensive apartments and widen the road. So this was crazy laws by the government, who never had the thoughts with the conversation with the architects and the planners. And then again, many dictators came in, many dictators, and we refer ourselves to be our own great enemy, because our mayor, every mayor they come in, they took a part of the lake, every mayor. So who are sensitive? You were definitely will be blaming architects, but not necessarily. Architects, yeah.
Yeah, but the architects can always walk away from an evil client.
Of course,
And
of course. Now we are.
Yeah. My question is, because you know the story you told of history and the modern phase kind of reflects, sociology of Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Really strong institutional interventions in the 60s. Jahangir
Yeah.
Originally Jahangir Muslim University. But anyway, I feel a lot of pride in those, and should the art school become the public works department building?
Yeah.
So you've got a bunch of civil engineers in that space?
No. That art college.
PWD.
No. PWD commenced their work. That it was from the very beginning. It was art school. It was art college.
He just misinterpreted. That is, what he was talking about is that on that time, architecture department was not separated from this public works department. So the works have been carried out by the public works department, and the architects were working under the civil engineers on that time. The institution that is there, it was designed for this artist, fine art college, and it's still running as a fine art college. It's not with a function. He was talking about like the subordination of the thing, the government institution that is going on behind the back.
But I was really, I get a bit depressed about Bangladesh sometimes, but it's nice to see that, it's really inspiring to see that there's a crew of aesthetic, moral architects making it prettier. And with the rural stuff, I think there's a big market there for people who want pajeros, maybe Turkish rollers, right? Because if you look, I went to see a film, The River, shot in West Bengal in 1951, right? And if you look, it's kind of a Mufashal area. If you go to Mufashal area, it's very much the same. And forget Dhaka. Dhaka was lost a long time ago. So just focus attention on the secondary towns and the ground thing. That's amazing,
And one positive thing, adding to Fuad, I like to refer. Interestingly, one thing positive happened during this time. Every time we have been like this, we call it Coca-Cola culture. I'm having a can Coke. It became a culture, yeah. And I'm having 3 phones, mobile phone, this, that. So beyond this culture in Bangladesh, what happened? This became a prestige issue, like rural architecture. It was being embedded forcefully. How? They tell, okay, you are doing apartments. Everybody does apartments. Now the issue was, which architect can show how many low-cost housing they are doing and how many mud architecture they are doing. It became their status symbol. How many award-winning projects you have done. So this trend is now, it's deterrent trend. So I think there is some positive thing in this way. Like if it is been after some time, okay, you do projects for like sustenance. Some projects, okay, forget about theories, forget about sustainability, and forget about the architectural values, forget. Okay, 40% you do. You don't need to do 100% project for your sustenance. Then these architects, they do Dhaka projects as well, they do Kishoreganj projects. They, in every office you step in, they don't show nowadays this kind of flashy architecture, no. Because they feel it showing these are shame, because he cannot refer that I have done this apartment. How many apartments you show? How many? No, they don't show nowadays in these drawing boards. Leaving this, they put the mud architecture and these sensitive architectures on the board, and they proudly present, I have done this project, I have done this school, because they end their portfolio shows that they have done 200 apartments. They don't want to show. So I think situation will change.
What about people in this country?
Yeah.
They I lost a friend who were building house in Sylhet.
Yeah.
How people here.
No, I'm just remembering one thing. I will tell why I laughed. Yeah.
When I go to a friend's house, they show me a house or a video of the house that they completed.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Last time I went there was in 1999.
Yeah.
And 10 years now, right? So it must have really developed. Even that time, I saw a lot of, different types of buildings, and recently I saw some pictures. So what I would like to understand is, the development and the thinking. Where is the inspiration coming from?
Inspiration for building houses over there.
Yeah. Because all the different types in this competition,
I see this in 2-3 ways. Like, according to my analogy, the client who pays money to build a house back there in Sylhet, don't take it otherwise if I don't know anybody there from that community, with due respect, I see it like this way. The first generation urbanization happened in London. They came from the paddy field to London. They never had the scope to make a house over there. But housing, it is again another issue, not architecture. it is kind of a possession. Somebody wants to show. It is a dignity, it's a pride. It is not regarding economics and return. Cost and benefit analysis, you cannot prove in this theory. So those from there to here, who has money, he wants to show something. Everybody has a terrace house here, mid terrace, end terrace, semi-detached. There is nothing to show. But they want to show, I have a house in Sylhet, and I can show at least, I do have more than 20 pictures of tremendous houses. Every house is beautiful than any house in Gulshan or Banani, and it is in middle of a paddy field. Nobody is there. There are 2 caretakers in a huge boundary wall, 2 caretakers and maybe 2 dogs. Nobody lives there. Maybe they are there only to clean the house for 7 days. Before 7 days they go in and clean the houses. The owner visits that place for 7 days.
And what about the process, where the design idea? So this is similar to like people going to Dubai and Bangkok, say I want something like that.
But situation will change. Situation will change. For last 1-2 years, as a professional service provider, we are changing the attitude shifting, paradigm shift we call. They no longer come to make houses like this. They prefer accumulative housing. They bring in 10-12 friends together and they want a single house. And they are going for time shifting concept, sharing concept, so multi-ownership thing in one house. It is very interesting. And they got this idea from Dubai, like everybody, and this is a common marketing trend here in London. So they come up with ideas like, I don't want to make a single house, make it a house, but 3 of us will share. It's very interesting. And again, they want to invest in apartments. They don't want to go for any hassle on building his house on his own. Rather, they want a developer who has a good reputation and will not run away with their money. A single studio flat. So they refer, these young guys, they can refer, okay, I do have a house in Sylhet. And again, we are doing a couple of projects right now. One is an eye hospital, one is a cancer hospital, and one is a mega shopping mall with childcare floor. It is very interesting a project. The developer is Paragon Properties. Their office is in Brickland. What they came up with an idea, a huge housing complex, and it is at Major Tila. So I don't know where Major Tila is. It is just within the entry gate of the Sylhet municipality. At least 11 Upazila, sub-district people, they pass through that node. They are making that house over there, housing complex over there, and that commercial complex with 4 floors, exactly like what you call Debenhams in Oxford Street. In one store, you step in, everything is there. We are designing it, and they are providing 200 car parks like Tesco and others. I said, where you got this idea from? And he said, if these sub-district people, for 9 sub-districts, they come to buy things in Sylhet, main proper, from this entry point to the Bondor Bazaar or Zinda Bazaar, it takes more than 2 hours to go to that. They will prefer to park their car and they will prefer buying Gap shirt from my store. I said, it's interesting. So we are...
Last question. So this last question is related. What about the Bangladeshi, the migrant workers in Middle East? What kind of houses are they building? Are they building much?
Actually, I cannot give that much of my expertise there because in Middle East, I think the regionality or the group clustering is not that much prominent. You cannot tell, say 80% of these migrants are from Borisal. No, they are kind of cocktail. And that's why for here, we can refer that Sylheti people are here, they're building. So I do have some ideas, but I think one, two relatives of mine, long distance relatives, who came here, they gave me some projects on building. But interestingly, they don't spend that much money on houses. Their psychology is again more towards showing people, showing others. And what they do, it is, don't take it otherwise, it is very much my personal opinion. What they do, if they have 2 lakhs budget, 2 lakhs taka for construction budget, with 80,000 pounds, with 80,000 taka, they will make a huge gaudy gate. I don't know why. Huge gate, and with the rest of the money, hardly 2-3 rooms. So I think this is very much like that possessiveness. I possess this land. That is very important. And 80,000 pounds spending all for a gate and a boundary, I don't see any logic. Your budget is 2 lakhs. So these are my experiences. Somebody may differ and contribute to. Yeah.
May I add something? Well, like 2 years back, I went to my village, and I went there because of some of my academic problems. And I was interviewing a few ladies over there, and one of the ladies' son worked in Dhaka, and he actually earned a lot, much better than her other neighbors. And what she had done is that she had one mud house with those sheds, straw sheds on the roof, and she then wanted to build another houses which is made up of brick and a tin roof, because that is much expensive than the other one. When I asked her that, all right, fine, you are making that new house, but that new house it gains much heater than the other one, and it's not even comfortable for you to stay over there at summer and in a tropical climate where you have much